This is the performance of the most recent 10 years. This is the index performance of the highest 10 years. And this is the index performance of the lowest 10 years. The lowest 10-year performance in total, if you would average that dollar amount or that interest rate, is about 8.7%. Just looking at the lowest 10-year performance in this particular product. If we're looking at the highest 10-year performance, we're talking 16.55%. If we're looking at the performance of the most recent 10 years, we're talking about somewhere between 8.7% and 16.55% is what you can expect in a vehicle like this, with no market risk, allowing you to keep the money that you've made. If there's a bonus being added, and the growth on your dollars is protected, again, protected against market risk. If this is your car, it's not about the vehicle itself. It's about where the vehicle is sitting. It's how it's being protected. What we're talking about today is what it looks like to take your dollars out of the vehicle that they're in and put them in a position so that your money can work for you. And we're specifically talking about qualified money. So by strategically repositioning where your money is currently located, you can have both the growth of what most qualified accounts offer, as well as the 0% floor that allows you to make sure you're not losing the money that you contributed in it, and it's able to grow the maximum amount possible if needed. Again, there are thousands of annuities out there. The question is, which one should you get? And that's where you need, if you're spending time focusing on what that vehicle looks like, it's about how it's structured, where you're getting it from, and what those details are. We'll dig into some of that as well. What even is an annuity? An annuity is just simply a tax-deferred vehicle provided by life insurance companies. And what life insurance companies love about annuities is not only does it provide the guaranteed income, in some cases, security and growth, from a life insurance company's perspective, they get to lock in on the dollars that you've provided, and they have more control over making sure they're able to maximize its growth. And obviously they take a percentage of that and you get a percentage. But the bottom line is there's no volatility in whether or not you're contributing this month, whether or not the dollar amount will be there. There's this annuitization period. There's this period of time where this dollar amount is locked in. It can be 5 years. It could be 7 years. It could be 10 years. It could be 15 years. But the bottom line is there's this annuitization period. So there's a few different phases. Annuities typically have an accumulation phase. That's where you're contributing dollars into it. And that dollar amount is, in most cases, is a lump sum, and it's focused on growth. And that growth and accumulation value. And then that annuitization phase is that time period where the life insurance company is using those dollars to maximize its growth. And then after that annuitization phase, after you've gotten through that surrender period, it's about distribution. So ultimately, annuities function in three spaces. But there are thousands of annuities, but I would say you can group those thousands of annuities into three buckets. It's either focused on growth, it's focused on immediate income, or it's some, I'll call it, version of both. These are the ultimate buckets that we focus our attention on, or that I focus my attention on when you come to me and say, hey, this is the goal. Because depending upon your goal, I can fit an annuity for any spectrum of what that need might be. Again, you might be here, somewhere in between. I don't really need it, but I would love to have access to it if I needed it. What you're referencing is, I want access to free withdrawals. During that annuitization phase, while this dollar amount is growing inside of this annuity, I want the option to be able to use some of the money in it to be able to buy a property, to be able to pay off my mortgage, to be able to take a trip. I just want the capability of accessing those dollars if I need it. We can create something like that. Or it's, again, I'm at retirement age. I need growth. I need this money to last for my lifetime. But I also need to take some form of a distribution early. So again, I don't care what the scenario is, 9 times out of 10, that scenario fits into one of these three categories.
The other question that a lot of people probably aren't maybe aren't aware of is, where do annuities come into the conversation usually? Like at what stage, or what is the move that people are wanting to make where this suddenly becomes an option where it's not a part of normal conversations from the beginning? Like your HR department is not talking about annuities. You know, most financial advisors or financial retirement planning, they're not talking about these products. So where does this come into play normally for people?
In most cases, it's those who have some sum and they're not sure what to do with it. They just know that the dollar amount sitting where it is today is not benefiting them, or in the long term may be negatively impacted. So for instance, this gentleman who's 57, he's been contributing to the 401k and the IRA and the Roth IRA for the last 20 plus years. Like he's been very diligent about contributing to these products. What he's realizing is, with the volatility in the market, he is spending a whole lot of mental anguish around making sure these products are sitting in the right mutual fund, stock, and bond. And what he's realized, and his words was from watching this channel, what he's realized is he has very little control. All he's doing is playing a shell game. He's just robbing Peter to pay Paul, but ultimately, because the dollars are still sitting in the market, there's no security around making sure he can't lose what he has. And so what he's looking for, the conversation started with, set it and forget it.
Right. Yeah.
But
And
the conversation quickly transitioned to, well, let's focus on set it and protect it. Because again, this is self-directed retirement accounts, right? The name of our business is self-directed. What does self-directed mean? Self-directed means control. Had he come to me and said, I want more control over my retirement dollars, we've got a solution for that too. And so if you're wanting more control over your retirement dollars, then that allows us to shift the conversation to, how can we place these qualified dollars in a position to where you can go take action? But in this case, he doesn't want to be the one responsible. He wants to be able to put it in a place and then come back in 20 years or whatever that time horizon would be, come back and make sure that the money that he put in position is going to be there and be able to sustain his lifestyle.
Charles E.
I like Charles E.
Oh, I was confident with that. Yeah, I was confident there. Thanks, Donnell, for sharing this with us. Please, what do we give up for the risk less? What do we give up if we're having less risk? Then what are we giving up? Will that affect the annual yield?
A great question. When we talk about risk, especially risk tied to the market, what we're basically saying is, hey, I'm okay with my money doing this. And hopefully the goal is upward performance. The goal is to be able to generate enough growth so that I'm moving in a positive fashion. What I am referencing is not giving up that growth. It's having some more security around it, meaning instead of only focused on wins and losses, because in most cases, that's what I'll call it traditional retirement planning or investing looks like when using the investment equation, is we're looking for home runs, meaning I'm swinging, swinging, swinging. Hopefully I hit that home run to be able to transition those dollars into something a little bit more than what I have. Our goal is to protect the money you have, participate in that growth, but in those moments of downturn, we hold. Meaning the 0% floor is so crucial in a risk-less process, because the idea is we're generating and building based off the growth, but in times of downturn, in time of market failures, we hold. And then when the market takes off again, we take off. And then when the market crashes, we hold. We hold at that point to where the market takes off again. And ultimately, what that does is it allows you to build uninterrupted, secure compound interest, versus what wins and losses provide you. Wins and losses create linear growth, meaning if you average strong performance with lower performance, what you get is some type of straight line moving hopefully in an upward direction. But if you're able to eliminate the losses, what you're able to create and or generate is actually exponential growth. You're able to actually create performance that moves in an upward direction and without with the elimination of what loss looks like. So, and will that affect the yield? So it is true that consistent performance as it relates to indexed growth, or meaning focused on not losing, you're giving up some of that those percentage points are related to the maximum growth. And here's what I mean. If we were talking about risk-based performance of, let's say, the stock market with uncapped growth, what that means is if the market does 36%, we are able to participate in that 36% growth. But if we're looking for protection, meaning I want to be able to participate in the growth of the market, but I don't want that potential loss. Because if I'm participating in that 36% growth, I'm also going to participate in that negative 36% performance if the market crashes. So I may give up some of that 36% growth that I'm wanting for the security of not participating in any of the losses, which means I'm not participating in the full 36%. I may be participating in 10, maybe be participating in 12. So I'm giving up that additional 20+% for the fact that I cannot lose. I will not lose any of the growth inside of this account. So it is absolutely a trade-off. And that is ultimately for the risk-averse individual.